Good. Okay. All right. Good evening. Welcome to our board of directors meeting for Clover Garden. At this time, we want to call the meeting to order at 6:34 p.m. Can you please give us the role of the board and the mission?
Sir, the role of the board, we are entrusted to care for the current school and stay focused on the vision for future schools. No trust, no unity, no progress. Mission: Clover Garden School will foster community, generate enthusiasm, challenge students academically, and produce successful citizens.
Thank you. So in front of you, you have the agenda. So we have a slight revision. We want to amend the agenda. We will have a closed session. So outside of that, that's the only thing that we are amending. We do need to vote on the amended agenda, including closed session, which we'll discuss later. Who would like to make a motion to approve the amended agenda? Mrs. Barrow, second. Mrs. Foster, all in favor? Okay, thank you for, and then also you got the minutes for June, our last meeting in June 2022. Should have a chance to have already reviewed those minutes. Any changes, comments needed? Here are none, so we'll make who would like to make a motion to approve the June minutes? Ms. Foster, second. Mrs. Russell, sorry. All in favor? Okay, that's it for that. So we do have public comments. We had a few. We do have Mrs. Ashley Bristow here with us, and so I'll have you make a comment with your public comments. But before that, I want to read the procedures. Public comment procedures for board meetings. The purpose of the public comment is to allow our Clover Garden School Board of Directors to hear directly from our community on matters of the school. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, so you will be timed. Speakers are welcome to offer comments or criticism directed at substantial ideas, actions, or procedures of the board and individual board members. In the interest of maintaining civility and decorum, however, board members will not tolerate or allow personal attacks and insults directed at the board, individual board members, staff, or members of the general public. The laws and policies of North Carolina provide that issues or concerns involving individual personal matters are confidential and therefore not appropriate for public comment settings. Concerns related to personnel issues may be addressed through the school's director/principal or assistant principals, the grievance policy, or applicable policies. Speakers, including students, may discuss issues and matters of general concern, but should refrain from discussing confidential student information. Concerns related to confidential students matters may be addressed through contacting the school's director, principal, the grievance policy, or other applicable policies. So with that, Mrs. Fristow, you may begin with your comments. I would like you for two. Yes, please.
Sure. And so I have 2 comments, but I'm just going to sort of paraphrase and just kind of condense those both into 3 minutes, if that works. So I may talk a little fast. Is it okay if I set my timer for 3 minutes, or?
She'll say it for 3 minutes, and we'll let you know.
Okay. So can I go now?
Yes,
okay.
You may begin.
So first comment, I appreciate the recent letter addressing the CGS, the broader CGS community, especially concerning things like athletics. However, as a parent, would like the board to be more specific on the expansion plans and the impacts to next school year. So I, as a parent, want to be able to make sure that my kids are in the right school and that Clover Garden remains a school of choice. So in order to make those decisions as a parent for my children, I would like to understand, 1, as we increase enrollment at CGS and we build a new high school, what are the new programs that we're planning to offer students? So my understanding was we're building a new high school so that we can offer additional services. And I would like to understand what those services are. And then second, I would really like to understand specifically what programs are being cut from next school year. So there's lots of things that are kind of flying around out there in terms of chorus, theater, also athletics. We're still trying to figure out a lot of math that goes along with athletics and what we'll be able to offer next year. So aside from the athletics piece, because I am very involved with that, I do want to know what services are no longer going to be available to my children next year, and when do we expect that those services will be returned to them? So I think as parents, we just want a little bit more information. I do understand the challenges. I can appreciate all the work that goes into the building. But as a parent, my first interest is obviously the two of them and making sure they're in the correct school. Second, I am a CPA. I do specialize in tax. I deal with a lot of sales tax related issues, and I just wanted to, so as part of the Boosters organization and 501(c), when I first started, we had not been collecting sales tax refunds, so those are refundable to us. North Carolina is one of 2 states where we must pay those up front, and we get reimbursed. So I just want to make sure that as we go into this big $15–16 million expansion project, that we are collecting those sales tax refunds from our contractors. So to the extent that they're paying sales tax on any of the supplies and materials that they buy, we're eligible for a refund for those, but we have to be able to see that on the invoice. So I just want to know that we're making the right, I guess, tax decisions. And then also, I think it would be helpful if we could let our other booster organizations, such as PTT, band boosters, know that they're eligible for those refunds. I don't know if I got that done in 3 minutes, but
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. So our third comment, public comment, was from Tanya Cobb. It's also in regards to athletics. So I'll go ahead and begin now. My daughter Mackenzie is a rising 10th grader at CGS. She plays softball for the school as well as showcase ball. She works hard on and off the field. Playing sports teaches you how to work well with others, work hard, and leadership. Playing sports in high school is what every athlete looks forward to. Cutting funding to the athletics department is disheartening. Our children have been through so much in the last 3 years. The funding cut will affect the rest of our daughters' high school years. I ask, how many board members have athletes at CGS? Why was it not voted to at least reduce funding instead of totally cutting? Why have 2 assistant principal salaries but take away from our children? We are now forced to make a very difficult decision with very little time. So that's the end of that comment. And the last comment, we received a public comment question about environmental testing at the school. While we are not able to read the comment in full because it contains confidential information, we can share that the school has engaged an environmental testing company, and testing will be completed prior to the beginning of the school year. We expect to share what we learn in the next steps when we have further information. So that's all the comments for tonight. Moving on, no special guests, correct? Next, Ms. Simmons on finances.
So it's that time of the year again. We asked the board to authorize Ms. Heather Moragan to submit our Title I, II, and IV consolidated applications for the 22-23 Clover Garden School year. They are due. We have
Okay. And we have to vote on that, correct? Okay. So who would like to make a motion for the title submissions? Ms. Merles, second. Mrs. Foster, all in favor? Thank you, Mrs. Simmons. Nothing for academics tonight and nothing for old business tonight. So we'll move on to governance. Mrs. Bracken.
I'm going to do the faculty and staffing first. So every year we update our handbooks. So tonight we're looking at updates that we are asking to be approved for our faculty and staff handbook, our student and parent handbook, and updates that we have for our policies and procedures. So faculty and staff handbook, and I know some of these are like super just intricate, but we updated the dates, but I want to make sure we're thorough with that. So this is located in your board folder in Google Drive. So we have not put our but so just kind of a summary, I'm just going to kind of run through these. You guys stop me if you have any questions or if I need to clarify anything in regards to these updates. There's quite a few throughout the handbook. So this one is like I said, specific to faculty and staff. So we updated all of the dates in the handbook. We have updated current enrollment numbers. We have updated and we added a Third School honor code this time. So there's a honor code that we'll be facilitating school-wide this year. So pretty happy about that will be in the faculty and staff handbook. We removed some verbiage that was on the first page and made it more specific to faculty and staff. We removed some of the requirements for lesson plans. It was pretty outdated with fast roles and things like that. We use Canvas, our management platform now, so a lot of stuff is digital. So we updated a little bit of that for the teachers, what the expectations are for that. Updated when our emergency lesson plans are due for teachers. Teachers will be evaluated through the NESA's program, which is through NCDPI. So we have opted out of that system for the past 7 years-ish. But we're bringing that back because we are able to kind of consolidate. They've improved it, and everything goes in place. So observations go in there, evaluations go in there, professional development plans go in there, log of their the professional development, the plan, but also any type of training or workshops they take throughout the year. It's all in there. So we're going to move back to using this program this year. Updated the dress code. You'll see that also in our parent and student handbook. We've updated, and usually the staff reflects what's in that handbook. And so we have updated that a little bit. That used to be short skirts, things like that, could be more than 3 inches above the knee. Everybody's different, all shapes and sizes. So we have changed that to mid-thigh. So you'll see some of that verbiage in the next document that Ms. Spencer will present with me. So same thing for staff, just to kind of reflect that. They have that same expectation for the length of dresses, short skirts, those kind of things. Only exception for faculty, we've made some exceptions in the student parent handbook in regards to jeans, but that does not change for faculty and staff. So that stays the same expectations and jeans for staff. Updated some things like refrigerators, things like that. The only places those are allowed are really in office spaces now, so not in classrooms. We put a formal process in place for visitors. Again, we kind of had an informal procedure in place for this before, and just kind of fine tuning that a little bit before we have like guest speakers, those folks from the outside community coming in to speak to the kids. So we got a formal process in place for the teachers for that. Updated some of our professional development requirements. That's going to be centered around our school improvement plan. Updated some dates on how, when and how our teachers reach out to our families, due dates for that. We, same thing with contact logs, made that a better way, a better system to kind of track communication between our teachers and our families. We updated the discipline plan requirement for teachers so that those discipline plans and things like that are again back in that learning management system. So moving from paper, pencil, those kind of things back into the digital system so that we can access that quickly. Updated some things with the lounge, the workrooms, expectations for the staff there, some verbiage to absences for staff, where their professional development is going to be monitored. We did add in, so a couple of years ago, we put in blackout time. So the month of May was completely blackout for staff, so they couldn't ask for any time off in May unless it was an emergency, medical, those kind of things. So we have actually added the first 20 days of school to that as well. That first 20 days is vital to getting the school off on the right foot. And so we have added that in as well. So like time off just to be off of work will not be granted during the first 20 days of school. So we did add an additional blackout time frame, but it kind of carries over between July and August. So we did add that to the beginning of the school year. Updated some monthly meeting schedules. So staff has a calendar of when their meetings are. We have meetings now every Monday and Wednesday during the month. And so there's a specific layout of what those meetings are. updated tutoring dates, report card dates, updated expectations for taking attendance, expectations for how announcements are documented. Same thing for a formal process for reserving spaces within the building, and making sure we're following a proper procedure for that. So we're not taking someone else's space that they are using. Exciting things, we are removing the field trip ban. So we are excited to get back to normal this school year. We have removed that. We had a ban in place because of COVID last year. So we have removed that. So teachers will have the opportunity to take kids on field trips this year. So we updated that. Updated sub-pay, it was, like I said, we upped that, so up their pay to reflect that in the handbook where the updates are. We updated, so in our handbook, the requirements for field trips are, or it was, if it was within 10 miles, you could take a school bus. If it was outside of 10 miles, you had to like rent a charter bus. But we have activity buses, so we have the opportunity to be able to use another bus instead of renting a charter bus. So we just up that to, if it's over 50 miles for some field trip that you're taking, you have to get a charter bus. But for anything less than that, you can either take the activity bus or a school bus. And then added additional administrative personnel to the harassment page, if there's an issue of who you can report that to. And then we ended up taking out, removing pandemic resources and then our travel policy for COVID-19. So we've removed those and kind of made those points move at this current time. So, and that's it. Those are all the updates for our faculty and staff handbooks for this school year. Are there any questions about those?
Anybody got any questions? Sound like you guys been busy.
Yeah. Yes, sir. That is it for that handbook, unless you have
Evening. So I'll be sharing the updates for the parent-student handbook. So as Ms. Brecken already said, updates were made to all of the dates, as well as the enrollment found in the beginning of the book, as well as extended illnesses, which is in the handbook. We wanted to provide clarification for that, for absenteeism. For tardy consequences, we included for the second offense where there to be a parent contact that was later. And so we wanted to kind of be more preventive there and putting it earlier. As well as after 6 tardies, we also included a conference to facilitate two-way communication in addition to a written communication, which was already indicated there. So again, just trying to get conversation with the parents. We added a skipping header just for easier read for parents to understand the expectation in that section. For the cafeteria, information was updated to reflect the request made by our cafeteria manager. So that's there. Also, you will see there is, we removed the soda policy just as a redundancy because that was included in the update from the manager. Under wireless communication devices and policies, we looked to add or added designated phone zones where students can understand more clearly where they can actually use their cell phones. So during student transitions in the hallways, cafeterias, etc. However, during class time, the expectation continues to be, that we're not using cell phones. So we're under a no sight, no sound. However, teachers can have their students to use them in the middle and high school sectors for instructional purposes. For hallway passes and traffic, we added a third consequence of detention, and that could be lunch or after school. There were just 2 there. Medical supplies, sicknesses, illnesses, and immunizations. We updated that to reflect information sent from the school nurse. So she had some things, some specifications there to include. So that was included there. Again, field trips, which were already noted. We're back traveling, so that's been updated as well. For eligibility requirements for extracurricular activities has been updated to reflect the athletic eligibility requirements. For middle school and high school standard of dress, we removed the attire. There's a statement for attire for boys and for girls to kind of avoid the gender specifications. And then under there, we have new permissions that we're proposed there for athletic pants, sweatpants, jeans. And so the jeans can have holes below the knee, not gaping tears or frays. So some clarification there just to kind of help, but allow students to have somewhat of expression there. Other clarifications under the standards of dress and food. So for fundraisers, if we're having designated days or dress down days, etc. We updated the dress code again to reflect the mid-thigh length, as Ms. Reagan already mentioned about the length of skirts, shorts, etc. Yoga pants and leggings can still be permitted. However, we did clarify again that they cannot be seen. There is a section again under the standard of dress, and it says no exposed body piercings except for appropriate ear piercings. So we again wanted to bring some clarification there and updated it so that it now reflects that no studs are acceptable as long as it doesn't compromise student safety. So like hoops and things of that nature, but a stud would be acceptable. And then also where it discusses tops that are T in the back, but we also added no spaghetti straps for tanks. Also, staying with the dress code, we looked at dress code violations and we updated to include covering up. So in the consequences where students are sent out, and they're provided with while they're waiting for their parent to bring them something to provide, for example, regarding a shirt or something. Again, trying to maximize instructional time while they're waiting in that space. And then the last update is for headlights. It was kind of in a weird place where we wanted to put up near the medical immunization, that part in the handbook. And that includes the updates for the student.
Anybody got any questions? All right, thank you. Ms. Simmons, you're going to go over policies and procedures.
The last big policy handbooks, policies and procedures, which is all internal for staff and for board and for the state. So basically, the changes or some of the updates for the 22-23 school year to go along with the others, removing all the mask policy, anything related to COVID. Later this year with the governance committee, we will go over, we're going to replace all that in the policy procedures with a pandemic policy. That needs to be in place just going forward as of March. But we're working with legal on that, and then we will be with the governance committee for that. We have removed anything regarding COVID. Any kind of mask, travel, our EPSL, our voluntary EPSL that we went to, so all that has been removed. We added which y'all approved last year, the surrogate parent policy that was added into the policies and procedures, and the lunch sponsorship program policy, and the cafeteria health policy. So all those policies we had to do last year, kind of bits and pieces, but that is all now been added.
Any questions? All right, thank you. So we will vote on these individually. We have 3 votes to cast. So we'll start with the student parent handbook as presented. So who would like to make a motion to approve the student parent handbook changes? Ms. Foster, who would like to second it? Mrs. Russell, all in favor? All right, next is the staff handbook that was presented to us. And so who would like to make the motion to approve the changes to the staff handbook? Smurl, second. Ms. Foster, all in favor? And lastly, under governance, we have the policies and procedures presented. Who would like to make a motion to approve the policy and procedure changes? Mr. Russell. Second. Ms. Smurl, all in favor? All right, that's it for the governments. There is no new business tonight. Next, we will move into closed session at 6:59 PM under the general statutes of 143-18.11, Section A and